morning. Welcome back to the California State University Graduation Initiative 2025 Symposium. I'd like to welcome our Chancellor to the stage to welcome us this morning. Chancellor White.
Gavin, you'll get more music than I get, let me just tell you that. Well, I do want to say good morning to everyone. So good morning, everyone. You can tell this is an academic event, Governor. A teacher gets up and says something and the class responds back. Good morning, class. Montana, I hope you're paying attention. I trust you all found yesterday's program as both informative, inspiring, and sobering as I did. I hope you were able to connect with colleagues, those you've had before, and found some new ones who are doing some amazing work. And as we focus on matters that really matter, and we often say that matter to California State University, but the truth of the matter, using that word too many times, the truth of the matter is, this is not about the CSU. This is about California and California's future, both socially, economically, politically, environmentally. And so while we're in the trenches of education and research and community service and the list goes on, what we're really in is about building the fabric for California's future. And this morning, it's a real treat for us to have Governor Gavin Newsom join us and have him to share his views about public higher education in the years and decades ahead in this great state of ours, California. I had the privilege, really, of getting to know the governor back in his last job, when there was the LT in front of the word governor. He's one of the very few, if perhaps the only lieutenant governor who had came to just about every Board of Trustees meeting with thoughtful participation. And in so doing, he helped inform us on matters that, through his lens, as a Californian and as a lieutenant governor. But also he learned about our values and the approach that we take with our students and our faculty and our staff in our communities. And I think that created that understanding where we actually discovered we had much more in common than any areas where there might have been some disagreement. And I think that's the value of relationships with all of us and among all of us. He's demonstrated his commitment to us after spending almost 8 years studying us as lieutenant governor in his first budget. And we are grateful for his understanding of the role of the California State University in helping his administrative goals to break that arc of poverty, that cycle of poverty, intergenerational issues of poverty in California. We're very grateful that you're here, Gavin, and we're very grateful that you understand and support us to the extent you can. You have many things that nibble at you as the governor. So our students are the future of this state. I've just alluded to that. And it gives me then enormous pleasure to invite Michael Awiafi to join me here on the stage to introduce the governor. Michael is the president of the Cal State Student Association and is a student at San Diego State University. Michael?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Oh, thank you. Okay, this early on, I didn't think I was gonna get a response. My name is Michael Wiafe, and I serve as president of the Cal State Student Association, representing the almost 500,000 students on the 23 campuses of the California State University. I would just like to take a moment to recognize the students in the room. Where are you? Yep, okay. And the students participating online as well. As leaders representing the students of the most diverse and largest four-year bachelor's degree granting institution in the nation, CSSA aims to enhance the student voice through higher education policymaking, and I cannot think of a better venue such as this to share my own perspective and the student perspective on the California State University and the future of higher education. But first, before I get into that, I would like to share a little bit about my own personal journey in the CSU and insights into the student experience of today. I was born in Ethiopia, and my family immigrated to Southern California when I was a young child. This really shaped my understanding of which the world was, and which the world is, and how big it is. When I was exploring options for higher education, I knew I wanted to attend an institution that would broaden my horizons and expose me to opportunities for scholastic and personal growth, and really broaden my already broad worldview. For me, San Diego State University was the university that I was looking for. SDSU people, I know you're here. Hi. During my first semester in the fall of 2016, I was certain that I had a plan for my time at SDSU. I would get good grades, study abroad, maybe work on campus. I joined the marching band, get an internship, graduate, and move on to law school. The easy stuff, right? That plan lasted maybe a month before I started having questions about why is this campus the way it is? Why is it that we are the way that we are? And where do I fit as a student and as a person within that dynamic? Luckily, I was introduced to Dr. Sandra Cook, some of you may know her, now retired Associate Vice President for Enrollment Management, which changed the entire trajectory of my student experience. I expressed to her my challenges and my hopes, and her approach to me was to provide me with the context clues to navigate my experience on campus. Rather than just providing me with simple solutions, go over there, talk to that person, she gave me contact information. She recommended organizations that would spark my interest. She provided invaluable advice, such as never being afraid to speak up and speak out. I was a very quiet person before the CSU. And as you can see, I might have took some of those lessons a little bit too much to heart. And most importantly, she advised me to foster curiosity and connect with others. I can feel her belief in me, in my ability to be a change maker, and I began to believe in myself. Based on her encouragement, I began to meet with the people that she recommended in student organizations that might have sparked my interests. They valued my views, they challenged my beliefs, and gave me a new perspective in a constructive manner. And as time passed, I recognized the change in the habits, and I found that I was growing in ways that I never would have imagined. No, for real, I never would have imagined this. My parents are surprised. I know that many students have had a Dr. Sandra Cook in their lives. In their lives as a career, as a student, attending the CSU, whether that person at the CSU is a faculty member, a staff member, a fellow student who's willing to really cultivate a culture of acceptance of their life and change that trajectory of their collegiate experience. But I also know that not every student has met their Dr. Sandra Cook. And the harsh reality is that some will never have that opportunity, an opportunity that's so integral to being successful in college. So herein lies my vision for the future of the California State University. I envision a community that continues to care, a community that recognizes the uniqueness of each individual, a community that provides not the simple solutions, but tools and services that allow students to take destiny into their own hands and excel in the way of which they would like to do so. When we talk about student success, the avenues to get there look different for every student on each of our campuses. There is no one-size-fits-all when it comes to closing equity gaps or solving some of the issues that are on our campuses. As has been seen with Graduation Initiative 2025's approach to student success, this truly takes an entire CSU village to accomplish. The student who does not have enough to eat, the student parent who's in need of affordable childcare services, the marginalized and underrepresented student who needs a space to connect with their peers and professionals who will grow them in the way that they require in their student experience. A student with a disability that requires the campus infrastructure that is supportive, and the student who is seeking answers. We all bear that responsibilities at this university, and at all levels of the university to interact, understand, and support these individuals. The CSU that I envision continues to be adaptable and ready for us, the students. The students with a variety of backgrounds and experiences, with ideas, with questions and skills, and with hope. And also us, the students who are growing up in a different time, with needs and realities that are different from the generation who came before us. I envision a CSU that could do for every student what it did for me, took me as I came, and gave me the right tools to succeed according to my needs and my interests. Due to the progress that has already been made in improving academic success in our students, I'm optimistic that the university's future is one where all students can pursue their dreams of higher education without unnecessary barriers and with the support that they need to do it. I'm appreciative of this opportunity to share some of the student experience in my own life, on my own campus, and I know that there are many students who have had a similar experience. I'm now excited to have the pleasure of welcoming a special guest to the stage to share his vision for the CSU and for higher education in California. Governor Gavin Newsom has already started to make significant strides in revolutionizing education in California to better serve the needs of the state and the needs of the students as we progress. And I look forward to see the continued difference that he'll be making in the lives of our students and in the state of California. Everyone here, please join me in welcoming the 40th Governor of California, Gavin Newsom.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you all. Thank you, everybody. Well, that sure as hell didn't happen when I was lieutenant governor. You were very generous, Mr. Chancellor, in your words. Thank you, Michael. That was fabulous. You know, you got me off script. I was thinking, I was coming in, my daughter's here. That was the reference from Tim about Montana, my daughter, not the state. We can figure out why she's not in school later, but I'm glad she came with me. And so it's a little harder to prepare, as you can imagine, as a parent this morning, because that wasn't on the agenda. And, and so I was always struggling to try to figure out what I wanted to communicate, what I wanted to say. But what Michael just said, it was pretty potent and powerful, this notion of the power of connection. Talking about who's your Dr. Cook. And then he got me thinking in my head of, about Tino Lavezza. And just the power of community, this notion of connection. We're living in a world where we're all never been more connected, but more of us suffering alone. The epidemics of suicide and self-medication, it's very real. And, you saw a few years back, the former Surgeon General of the United States said, what's the number one preventable disease in the United States of America? And you'd expect the usual response, but he said social isolation, which was a powerful statement. Again, all of us living together but suffering alone. This notion of connection, community. And perhaps that's the foundational principle, or should be the guiding vision that unites all of us here together. This notion of the campus community. Many parts, as Father Cause at Santa Clara University used to say to me, but one body. 23 campuses, one system. That whole foundation that is being disrupted in the world we're living in. And the question that I think we always have to ask, and one we are compelled to answer, is what world are we living in? What are the trend lines that define this world? And how can we, in our individual and collective roles, take advantage of those trend lines? And that's a foundational question that we are all struggling with in this country, and for that matter around the rest of the world. Institutions, large and small, are in atrophy. They're collapsing. There's, culture of mistrust, not trust. And the world is radically reorganizing. We're going from something old to something new. A few years ago, we referred to the whole debate around Uber and taxis as paralysis contrasted by rebirth, going from something old to something new. I'll never forget that headline in TechCrunch magazine in 2015 that noted, what do these four remarkable companies have in common? And it went on to talk about Uber being the largest taxi cab company in the world that owns no vehicles. It talked about Alibaba at the time being the largest from a market cap, the most valuable retailer in the world that has no inventory. It talked about Airbnb, the largest real estate company in the world, doesn't own any real estate. And it went on to describe many other businesses of its type, including Facebook, that provides none of its own content. We're going from something old to something new. I remember many moons ago with Eloy Oakley here, and we were at a conference with Tom Friedman, and he said he had written that book, The World is Flat. It was a New York Times bestseller in 2005, 2006. He says, you go in that book, it was about globalization and technology. You go into the index under FFA. See, Facebook wasn't even in the book. He said, back when I wrote that book, Facebook didn't exist. He said, Twitter was a sound. The cloud was in the sky. 4G was a parking space. LinkedIn, a prison. Big data was a rap star. Skype was a typo. And apps were things you filled out to get into CSU. Right? Something big is happening in the plumbing of the world. Going from something old to something new. And so when we think about a vision for higher education in an on-demand economy, it seems to require on-demand education. And while it's profoundly important, and I have emphasized in this first year, the first 9 months, this administration, beginning at the beginning with historic investments on prenatal care, 0 to 3, early Head Start, not just Head Start, pre-K, not just K, and investing more in our K through 12 education system, we tend to front load education a little bit more than we backload education. This framework of lifelong learning, that's the business you are in. You can't just get a degree, print it on you, and call it a day. You know, someone said that's kind of like being a milk carton with a sell-by date. Right? After a while, it gets stale. The world and the economy pass you by, but the education hasn't kept up. So I think we have to reconcile that. We have to begin anew a conversation about these trend lines and focus on this framework of lifelong learning and address the realities, changing realities all around us. And so that's what I'm motivated by. The challenge in this state, we've never had a framework to which we've been able to adopt at least collective goals. We do not have statewide goals on education. We have PPIC that comes up with reports saying, we think you should get 1.1 million more bachelor degrees by 2030. And then there's another version of PPIC says, no, it's 2.5. Someone else says 3. And that becomes then our goal. But it's never been our goal. That was their report. And then we have a discussion, the trustees about it, or the UC. The state does not have a clear vision. That has to change. And Londe and others, we are in the process of doing just that. I recognize, I look in the mirror, you don't get to complain anymore. I got to solve some of these things. I get it. So it's not a campaign speech. I recognize the responsibility. But no, that's a commitment we are advancing and collectively working together to advance. And then we have to work back from that vision and that framework. But none, I think, more important than this. We may be enjoying right now record surpluses and record scarcity as it relates to workforce, but that paradigm can flip quickly. I mean, I imagine a world not too far in the distant future where we have labor surpluses. Because if we're moving mobile, local, social, cloud, crowd, Internet of everything, additive manufacturing, if we're going from search, Google, to suggest, If AI and big data and all this is along the lines of what I just argued 10 years ago didn't exist, what's the next decade hold? And what does that mean for you and me? What does that mean for that fast food worker? I just met one of the biggest franchisees in the United States at McDonald's. He said he wanted to thank me for the $15 minimum wage. I said, I never thought I'd hear that from a fast food owner. He said, no. I started piloting these touch screens. And he goes, it was a phenomenon. It cost me a little money, but I never expected what I have enjoyed. He says, I'm rolling out in every one of my units. I said, why? He goes, it's a labor savings. It's not even labor. He says, I'm getting a huge increase in sales. People just go, they're having fun on that. And they go, okay, a milkshake, an extra little, big fries. What else you got? Oh, a little bit of that. So he says, my sales are up, my costs are down. But you play that out, you know? I know, we could be a little hyperbolic about driverless caravan of trucks, but they're coming. They're platooning those trucks right now and all across the country. Vegas and other places are playing around with that technology. We'll be doing the same thing soon. Millions and millions of folks. Ubers, I know they're all upset about AB5, but you know where they want to go. They just need a few years to bridge that till there's not even a driver to worry about whether or not it's a 1099 or a W-2. What are we going to do in that environment, that displacement? We've got to anticipate that. This is the sort of Wayne Gretzky moment for higher education. Skate to where the puck will be. And make sure we orient our conversations around that. Because if you don't like the answer, ask a better question. And I think oftentimes we're asking the wrong questions. Some of our meetings, respectfully, are stale. They're a little familiar. I went back to my first notes from my first CSU meeting. I wish I could bring them back. It is amazing. That was 2010-11. And Governor Brown had just written all of us a letter saying we had a $26.6 billion budget deficit. He had just cut the CSU by $500 million. And he said it will be another $500 million unless, he said, I somehow figure out a way to get a tax measure on the ballot. So prepare for $1 billion of cuts. We had just done a 32% increase in tuition the year before. Michael, 32%. Imagine how relaxing those meetings must have been, huh? And they were proposing a 5% in the spring and then an additional 10% in the fall. And after the 1/3, it said after the 1/3, I was like, what's this 1/3 thing? I was new. I said, oh, financial aid and you give back. So it netted out $142 million. I said, that's it? 142 netting out on 2 tuition increases and still this huge gap. And where were they going? To faculty? They were going right after you. Furloughs and cuts. Fast forward today, it's nice. I mean, it's nice. This is maybe the last time I can come up here and get a standing ovation because y'all love me because I just gave you $676.6 million in the budget. Yeah. How it feels. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, stand up. Get this on tape. I want a video of this. I'll see y'all later. Right? But you get it. The volatility that is our friend and foe. California does a lot better in the good times, and we struggle in the bad times. It's the nature of the volatility of our tax system. You want to change it? I'd like to change it to make it more stable and broad, but boy, I need some support up in the legislature and with the public. Not easy. So we're trying to do our best to stack away as much as we can, be prudent in terms of our approaches and our reserves to try to mitigate this reality going into the future. As clearly this plan, as I suggested the other day, has gone from 36,000, we'll begin our descent. It's not a fast descent, but we're just beginning our descent. We're preparing the cabin. And we're doing it in a more prudent and thoughtful way than we have in the past. And we are more prepared than ever to try to mitigate and address that volatility so that we don't have to go back to those notes in 2010 and 11 and 12 and 13 and 14. And I just want to make that point because it needs to be emphasized. We have to be more creative. We have to be more innovative in terms of our approach. and adopting strategies and start asking different questions. It just can't, I say lovingly and respectfully, just cannot be the same question about more state funding or higher tuition. We have to find creative ways to look anew at some of our opportunities and challenges, leveraging resources, connecting these campuses, not just the 23 at the CSU, but the 10 at the UCs, or the 100 plus that Eloy is managing. All of these assets, all of these facilities, all of these communities that have been built up together, figure out ways of leveraging those resources and collaborating more aggressively, thoughtfully, and judiciously. I know this is tough, and I know you're forced to these conversations when you're forced into those conversations. But just like that early earthquake warning system we launched yesterday, it would be nice, if we would prepare for that disaster. So we're not reacting to it, we're anticipating it. So look, forgive me, I want to I'll close up. I've taken too much time, but I want you to know I have deep reverence for the CSU. Just listening to Michael and Ethiopia, come on, man, this is California, this is America. And, I know we're all beating each other up about this country and about our state, but I just want to remind you, we're living in the most diverse state in the world's most diverse democracy, California. That's amazing. Point of pride. And eat your heart out, the rest of the country. We get first round draft choices. Guys like Michael. They come to California, right? And as Michael said, there's no greater conveyor belt for talent than the CSU. We're doing stuff at scale. It's the envy of the world. And so, I know we put a lot of sand in the gears in the past. We mucked some things up. I intend not to do that. I'll do everything in my power not to do that. I want you not just to survive, I want you to thrive. I want to see hundreds of thousands of Michaels in the next few decades. I want to continue to enliven people's senses, distill a sense of well-being and optimism, and allow people to live their lives out loud, to become fully expressive. People like Michael that never knew they had it in them, but someone connected with that spark that they didn't know existed within inside them. That's life. That's magic. It's all those magical moments, things that you're about every single day. So in that anticipation and spirit, I know this about the CSU. You're doing a great job with that 2025 initiative. We're moving in the right direction. As Tim said to me last night, everything that should be up is up. Everything that should be down is down. And we have great confidence in your continued leadership. Everything you have done, Tim, this guy has been a rock star, Tim White, in this system. That if we continue with that optimism and hopefulness, the best is yet to come. Thank you guys very, very much. Grateful to all of you.
Good morning. What a wonderful start to our second day of our Graduation Initiative Symposium. Another round of applause for President Wiafe, Chancellor White, and Governor Newsom. Please take a chance to review your program. From here, we'll be going upstairs to our breakout sessions. Many of you signed up for specific sessions. You'll see them on the back of your name tag. As a reminder, descriptions of all the workshops, the corresponding rooms can be found in your program or on your app. Please know that the presentations, handouts, and breakout sessions resources will be listed online for those of you that are viewing and live streaming. You also see an engagement guide for those of you that are hosting viewing parties for our live stream sessions back on campus. Enjoy the breakout sessions, enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll be back here for lunch at 11:30. Thank you.